Hey everyone, let's jump right into this explainer. Today we're tackling a massive, kind of hidden crisis facing the entire AI industry right now: customer churn. And more importantly, we're going to look at a research backed roadmap to actually fix it. We're in this fascinating moment, right? Literally everyone is talking about AI adoption. But very few people are actually looking under the hood to see who's sticking around after that first swipe of the credit card. So we're going to unpack the data, uncover the real, sometimes surprising reasons users abandon these platforms, and give you the absolute best strategies to secure long-term customer loyalty. 23%. Just let that sink in for a second. This is a genuinely shocking number. It represents the gross revenue retention for sub-$50 AI products over a 12-month period. It instantly sets up this high-stakes problem for the whole industry. To put that into perspective, if you're selling a low-cost AI product, you are likely losing more than 3/4 of your revenue within a single year. I mean, that is a staggering metric. It reveals a massive leaky bucket right at the very foundation of this current AI boom. So, here is our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll look at the AI churn wave. Second, unmasking the real causes. Third, fostering AI trust. And finally, number 4, building for retention. All right, starting off with section 1, the AI churn wave. Easy to use, easy to cancel. The old software playbook really relied on vendor lock-in, right? High switching costs, weeks of totally complex integrations. But in the AI era, the rules have completely flipped. Prompts are highly portable now. What used to be a standard 30-day evaluation window has basically collapsed into a 30-minute trial. It's wild. If an AI tool doesn't immediately do the exact thing a user wants it to do, they don't even bother submitting a support ticket anymore. They just hit cancel and move on to the next one.
Cassie Young over at Primary Ventures captures the severity of this shift perfectly. She says tech is on the brink of a gross retention apocalypse, and she's spot on. See, high net revenue retention, which, includes upsells and expansions, can actually mask a wildly leaky customer base. You might have a handful of power users spending a ton, totally blinding you to the fact that the vast majority of your new signups are literally running for the door. So gross retention, which strictly measures how well you keep the revenue you've already won, that's rapidly becoming the absolute ultimate indicator of true product market fit in this AI era. Moving right into section 2, unmasking the real causes, why users leave.
It's super easy to just assume a customer left because of pricing, or maybe their internal champion got a new job, right? But the data actually tells a completely different story. The real culprits here are expectation gaps, poor activation, and these isolated use cases that just fail to embed into a user's daily routine. Honestly, a lot of churn happens before the customer even really gets going. They get totally oversold on day one. So when the AI doesn't magically fix every single problem they have in the first 90 days, they bounce. Or maybe they only use the tool for one isolated project. Then, when renewal time comes around, the CFO asks, hey, who else is using this? And the answer is, well, nobody. Now, here is a really counterintuitive realization. Pushing shiny new AI capabilities before the foundational data setup is done, it actually breaks user trust and makes retention worse. Yeah, you heard that right. Adopting an AI feature too early can actually predict worse retention than not adopting it at all. Think about it. If a user hasn't done the prerequisite data setup, the AI's output is going to be garbage, and the customer is just going to blame the product for a terrible first impression. Sequencing absolutely matters here. Okay, on to section 3, fostering AI trust, the psychological anchor. Because before a user can truly embed an AI tool into their core workflow, they have to believe it won't steer them wrong. This leads us right into the psychology behind successful AI adoption, which is all about fostering user trust. I mean, think about major technological leaps in the past, like elevators or even cloud computing. There's always this initial distrust. Users naturally have to navigate this trust curve, and AI products have to proactively guide them from that initial skepticism straight into cautious optimism. Then, over time, through consistent and reliable experiences, they move toward functional trust, and finally, habitual use. But here's the kicker. If your product doesn't intentionally guide them along this curve, they are going to drop right off at that skepticism phase. So we can actually break this trust down into 3 main pillars: predictability, control, and benevolence. And we can see these applied brilliantly in edtech platforms like Renaissance Intelligence, for example. So first, to ensure predictability, they align their AI recommendations directly to the core curriculum standards that teachers already know and expect. For control, they use what they call educator-guided AI. So the system might suggest student groupings or practice exercises, but the teacher always retains the ability to override it and make the final call. And then for benevolence, which is really about ethical intent, they ground their AI in proven learning science. This ensures it's actually supporting student growth, not just, trying to replace human instruction. Let's move to our final section, number 4, Building for Retention, the 2026 Playbook. Okay, knowing why users leave and how trust works is great, but how do we structurally build a business that actually keeps them around? Well, before you even deploy specific tactics, you've got to establish this 4-layer triage to predict turn early. You absolutely cannot just wait for a customer to complain. By then, it's way too late. First, you need to look at usage signals. Watch out for high logins but zero outcomes. That is the ultimate silent churn signal. Next, use session replays to watch exactly where they're getting stuck in the product. Then layer on qualitative feedback. Use in-app microsurveys to literally ask them why they're stuck in that exact moment. And finally, you feed all of this into predictive models. This lets you flag a churn risk like 6 months before the renewal discussion even comes up. Now, if you want to make sure your users survive those incredibly perilous first 90 days, here are the 5 retention boosters that are definitively working right now. 1. Move up market. AI products charging over $250 a month are seeing dramatically better retention, mostly because they represent real budgets attached to real, serious workflows. 2. Deliver high-touch services alongside the AI during onboarding. It just ensures they actually get activated. 3. Stop overselling on that first deal. Land sharp and just prove one really valuable use case first. 4. Narrow the gap between release and adoption. Use in-app announcements so users actually find the new features you're shipping. And 5. Sell more annual plans. Make them the default so you give yourself 12 whole months to prove your value instead of just 30 short days. Ultimately, if you want to avoid the dreaded curse of being just another standalone AI wrapper, you have to embed your AI deeply into the user's most valuable core workflows. It's exactly like how we saw Renaissance Intelligence unify assessment, instruction, and practice. If your tool is just some neat little shortcut sitting outside the customer's main daily work, honestly, it's totally expendable. But when your AI acts as an intelligence system that connects all the dots, turning raw assessment data directly into actionable lesson plans and targeted practice, all on one screen, it completely stops being a fun novelty and becomes absolute foundational infrastructure. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one provocative question to really challenge how you think about your product. Ask yourself, is your true time-to-value metric actually tied to a concrete user outcome? Or is it just based on a totally meaningless go-live date? Just because a user logs in doesn't mean they've actually received any value. Have they actually achieved the specific outcome they bought your product to solve? Shifting your focus to real outcomes, that is the absolute key to surviving this AI churn wave. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and good luck building products that your users genuinely trust and actually want to keep.
Thanks for watching SB Insights. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.